I whai tapu ai mai ki ngō Puketakauere nei. I whai te ara pakanga ngā mātua tūpuna mai te kōhia a taino ki tēnei wāhi. Nō reira kānui te mihi ki a koe, kohe ngā kōrero, kānui te mihi ki a kōrua kōtau. E oe aere ngā mihi I rungi a rātou, ko whetu rangitia a rātou, I mai nā I runga I tēnei whenua, I roto I tērā rātu rautau. A whakaaro nui ki a rātou, I ngā mai nā I runga e ngā whakapakanga huri no te tātou nei rohe. Anei mātou ngā kau mai e whai atu I o koutou tapu ai, ngā ka whawhai tonu mātou ake tonu atu no reira kāti aere koti atu rā. Rātou te hunga moe, kia rātou ko tātou anō te hunga ora o tēnā tātou. Welcome to Puketakauere. Welcome to an opportunity to remember some of our history that's been lost in the past, where the history of New Zealand has been suppressed to a great extent, and we don't hear these stories about our places and our fights, our challenges. And so it's a real privilege to be out here this morning at Puketakauere to greet you and to share some of our kōrero of the kainga. In the context of the time that this place was standing, the name of the people here is Ngātiawa, commonly referred to as Tiatiawa nowadays, but in context of the time of our ancestors, this is part of Ngātiawa. People that came here during that time in June 1860 to support the fight here were from largely around the Rohe. There are many hapu around here, hapu of Ngātiawa. Waikato Maniapoto were here under a rangatira by the name of Epeha Tokohihi. Ngātiawa were under the leadership of Hapu Rona and many other rangatira that supported them on that day. At the time there were up to 200 of our warriors here. The war that took place in Waitara was the art of provocation in order to fight an empire like the British Empire and their army. You couldn't meet them in the field as per the British Army would like. You had to be creative, and our tupuna were creative. At Te Kōhia, there was a provocation to build Te Kōhia in plain view of the camp reserve down in Waitara here. It couldn't be tolerated by the government, and so they went up to try and hit Te Kōhia. To get the soldiers out of Waitara again, to fight them again, Puketakauere was established, and it was another provocation because it's in plain sight of the camp reserve for Pukekohe, or the Waitara camp. The provocation was increased by this place being known as the Waikato Pā. It gave the perception that the whole of Waikato were coming down to support Ngātiawa, to support Rangitake and the holding of the whenua. So in that environment, Nelson, who was the man in charge, the Pākehā man in charge down at the camp, decided that they were going to bring 350 men up here, or 300 men up here, with another several hundred from New Plymouth to reinforce them, and they were going to go for a knockout blow here at Puketakauere. Unfortunately, they did not know the lay of the land as well as Hapu Rona, or the people here, and they came up here without much reconnaissance, and they put to place their plan, which was predicted by Hapu Rona. When you look over at Onuku Kaitara, in the day that this place was set up for battle, Onuku Kaitara looked like the most prominent pā, the most well-defended pā, and the obvious target for the British to attack. And so they attacked from two sides, and they tried to surround this place with three lots of soldiers. First lot of attack came from the New Plymouth side of Onuku Kaitara, and they bombed Onuku Kaitara for several hours. Onuku Kaitara had a series of bomb shelters in it, and there were no casualties that I heard of coming from that event. So they bombed Onuku Kaitara quite heavily, and in the meantime, Nelson and his three groups of soldiers came up from the back here to try and outflank Onuku Kaitara. Nelson came up on the right-hand side here first, sneaking up through the swamp. The weather was terrible. The swamp was flooded and muddy, and it was pretty difficult going. They got partially up the creek up here, and they were ambushed from the sides by the men of Hapurona and Manupoto, who were waiting in the rifle trenches that they had already they'd built there. After getting a hiding on that side and narrowly escaping death himself, Nelson came round to the left-hand side to join up with his other two groups. Now, standing up here, it's not hard to see which way the British soldiers were going. So although the soldiers were in the blind as to what was happening to the other groups, Hapurona and his men were able to look down and see the movement of the British and easily follow them to the other side when they moved over to the other side of Puketakauere. So the 150 men that were lined up along on this side and this side of Puketakauere on both sides were able to join together when the British moved around to the left-hand side of the park. When Nelson got up there, he joined up with Lieutenant Brooks, and they tried to come up the right-hand side of Puketakauere. And unfortunately for their soldiers, there was another ambush waiting on this side, and they were decimated. I believe that 30 soldiers were killed, and 30 to 40 were wounded, and it was a terrible loss for the British. So it wasn't their knockout blow they were looking for. Instead, it was a demoralising defeat for which they had no excuse for, given that their whole plans were laid on ignorance of the lay of the land and who was waiting here for them. Story goes that Gold, who tried to cross over the Waiongana River, but it was flooded. The story goes that had he crossed the river, the outcome would have been in favour of the British, but I don't think so personally, and nor do the Haukainga. It wouldn't have mattered who turned up after the initial attack, because the British were confused, stunned, shocked, and crawled back to their camp over in Waitara there with an incredible defeat. There's also another battle, a one-on-one or one-outs over here on the right-hand side between Lieutenant Brooks and Hapurona, which was recorded in quite romantic terms. From what we understand at home here, Lieutenant Brooks was quite shocked, dishevelled, standing into the mud. He wasn't in control of himself, and he was given an opportunity to hand his sword over and surrender and become a prisoner. He did not want to become a prisoner after such a loss. He didn't want to go home after such a loss and face the people, I guess. So he chose to try Hapurona one-on-one. The fight didn't last very long, and Lieutenant Brooks died over here as well. They were all commemorated downtown at the cenotaph in Waitara, where you can read the lists of the soldiers who died of the British forces. There are no such memorials like that for our Māori who died here. We lost about 4 of our warriors up here, but it could be said that Puketakauere was never taken in battle. Onuku Kaitara was never taken in battle. In its whole history, it's never been taken in battle. So those that died here defending it have their own memorial. It's us here today talking about this battle and talking about our warriors going up 200 warriors versus the might of the British Empire, and coming away with their mana intact and upholding of this place. So when we think of ancestors who died here, we don't think of stone memorials. We're reminded every time we see Puketakauere and Onuku Kaitara, the sacrifices our people made when war was made on us in 1860.